What's going on, everybody? Welcome in. It is the BetSided Early Leans NFL Postseason Edition. Ben Heisler with the crew of Ian McMillan, Donovan Smoot, Peter Dewey, and Reed Wallach. We have been going through our favorite early leans and early best bets of the week all throughout the regular season here on BetSided. We are going to continue this opportunity here in the postseason. We go around the horn. We give you our favorite play of the week that you can find over at WinBet Sportsbook. And the fun part is that most of the time we've either been focused on totals, we've been focused on spreads. Not a whole lot of opportunities this year have we been able to dive in on the money line. But sure enough, Ian, you're kicking things off with a very interesting money line bet for the week. Where are you going for the wild card round?
Yeah, I think I've made it pretty clear at this point that I'm kind of pushing all my chips to the middle of the table on the Las Vegas Raiders. That all begins with the first game of the weekend here, the Raiders against the Bengals. I'm going to take the Raiders. I'm not even going to take the points. I'm taking them on the money line. I got to the plus 195 here. When I handicap games, I try not to pay attention to the public narrative. And I think that's important this weekend because the Bengals have become the public darling. Everyone loves them. Everyone loves Joe Burrow. They had that big win against the Chiefs to clinch the division. But statistically, I mean, they aren't really a top team. And when you look at the numbers between these two teams, their offensive numbers are all very similar. They all rank very close to each other in most offensive numbers, but the defensive numbers are wildly different. The Raiders rank ninth in the NFL in opponent yards per play. The Bengals are down at 21st. And what's even more important than that is opponent yards per pass attempt, because these are two kind of pass first teams. I know the weather's probably not going to be great, but it probably is going to be a battle between Derek Carr and Joe Burrow. And the Raiders rank sixth in opponent yards per pass attempt. The Bengals rank 21st. So the secondary, the Raiders have the advantage as well. So I'm ignoring the public narrative about how the Bengals are great and they're everyone's favorite dark horse team in the playoffs. And ignore the Raiders. They're just the same old Raiders. They're going to lose, be one and done. I'm not buying into that. I'm looking into the stats. I'm looking at the numbers. They're telling me the Raiders. I'm pushing all my chips to the middle of the table. Give me Raiders plus 195 on the money line.
Listen, it's understandable when you got the Raiders at the futures price that you did. I can understand that philosophy very much. And I think it'd actually be a fairly compelling game, even though the public might be trying to tell you to step off just a little bit. Another money line bet that we have this week comes from our own Donovan Smoot. He's looking at the matchup between the Eagles and the Bucs. So what side of this money line play are you on, Mr. Smoot?
I'm going with the Eagles. I don't listen. They're gonna go into Tampa Bay and they're gonna beat the Buccaneers. They played earlier in the season and the final score ended up being like 28-22. In that game, Antonio Brown was there, Chris Godwin was there. The Bucs had just signed Richard Sherman to come on and play cornerback for them. All three of those guys are not there right now. The Bucs have serious injury concerns. And meanwhile, I didn't even pay attention to last week's game against the Cowboys because it meant nothing, right? It meant nothing for either the Eagles or the Cowboys. Philly didn't have Jalen Hurts. They didn't have Dallas Goedert. Fletcher Cox was out as well. If they're going to get those guys back, and I think that's going to make a huge difference. I think that Philadelphia they are the best rushing team in the league. I think this season is actually their best rushing season in franchise history, right? This is what they do. And so although they're going up against the Bucs, who are the best rushing defense, I think it's strength on strength, and the mobility of Hurts is going to get to Tampa Bay. And with Fletcher Cox coming back, I think that pass rush is going to get to Brady. They're going to move him off the spot. They're going to be able to go in and do something that only a few teams, can do to Tom Brady. And so I'm really, really ready for this game. It's going to be a Sunday game, first game of Sunday. So everybody be ready because the Eagles are flying this week.
Kind of makes you think a little bit about last year when Washington put up a pretty serious challenge, especially with that pass rush against Tom Brady. Eventually, the Bucs ended up winning that game, but I think the underdog could very much be in play. It's an interesting bet when it comes to the Eagles. I don't know if I'm brave enough to take them on the money line, but I certainly think they're an intriguing option. Peter, I head to you next. We're looking at two NFC going up in the final game on Monday night. Arizona 4-point underdogs on the road against the Los Angeles Rams. Both these teams really struggling down the stretch of the season. So who do you like here?
Yeah, I don't know how I'm going to follow those two picks. I mean, two huge upset picks. I mean, geez, I'm taking the Cardinals +4 though in this spot. I don't know if they win the game, so that's why I'm going to bet on the spread. Cliff Kingsbury is fantastic as a road underdog in his career. He's 13-3-2 against the spread. Not great at home, but he's great on the road. That's where they're going to be. I think SoFi might be rocking with Cardinals fans. We've seen the Rams really struggle and the Chargers really struggle to get some home field advantage. Arizona's finally back in the playoffs. I think they show up for this game. They make this kind of feel more like a home game for them, even though it's on the road. And we look at Matt Stafford, and he's 1-2 against the spread in his playoff career, but he has really struggled against winning teams in his career. He's 31-50-2 against the spread. Shout out to Reed for these stats. And he's 26-57 straight up. So I don't know if this is like a clear cut. The Rams win this game. I think Arizona keeps it close. They've already played twice this year. Arizona beat them by 17 on the road the first time they played this season. You play a team 3 times and they're obviously divisional opponents. I think you get a really close game. This might come down to the last possession. So I'll take the Cardinals with the points.
All right, Reed, I head to you next. Another underdog is on the card from the BetSided team this week. The 49ers, 3-point dogs going to Dallas to take on the Cowboys with a total of 51.
Yeah, bark, another dog here. The key to this game, though, is Trent Williams. I will start my handicap with that. Offensive lineman for the Niners. He's their MVP. I'll get into another important player for them, but Trent Williams needs to be active. He missed week 18, I should say, against the Rams with an elbow injury. I expect him to play. I think that Kyle Shanahan was holding him out and hoped he could be back for the wild card round. But now let's talk about who is active, and it's Jimmy Garoppolo. Since week 9, when Dak Prescott came back from his calf injury, if we're looking at quarterback efficiency, running backs don't matter. There's a great graph, really shows a bar graph of all the quarterbacks in the league. It's Aaron Rodgers all the way at the top. It's Joe Burrow a little bit behind, and then it's Jimmy Garoppolo a little bit behind that. Then it's a really, really far away. It's the rest of the league. So Jimmy Garoppolo's been a top 3 quarterback since week 9. Since that time, Dak Prescott has been 12th in EPA per play. So I don't think Dak Prescott's been that good. He's beat up on inferior opponents. Jimmy Garoppolo has done enough to get this Niners team into the playoffs. We saw it last week. It was pretty heroic. He went down the field in less than 80 seconds to tie this game up, get them to the playoffs. I like the Niners here. I think they're about to go on a Super Bowl run. I think they could keep this Dallas defense away. They could protect the ball. Dallas top in the league in turnover margin. That's a bit fluky to me. I don't like what I've seen from this Dallas offense. I like the Niners. I think they win this game outright, like everyone else on the underdogs, but I'll take the +3 for the show.
All right. You get them at +3 at WinBet. You can also get them at +135 at WinBet on the money line. If we're sticking with money line, Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm just kidding. I can't do that, even though they're at +500 against Kansas City in the Sunday night game. But I do like them as +13 underdogs going back to Kansas City, where they just were 3 weeks ago. And yes, they lost by 26 points and got fairly beaten down. And Ben Roethlisberger looked terrible, as he has for most of the season. But I've said it numerous times, both on Bed and Breakfast. I've said it numerous times on this video. For whatever reason, Mike Tomlin in his career has been sensational when it comes to covering as an underdog. He's 47, 25, and 3 over the course of a 14-year NFL coaching career. He's covered more than 65% of the time. He's also the only coach during that time to go over 500 straight up as an underdog. Now, I don't anticipate the Steelers getting a victory in Kansas City. There's just not enough weapons on the offensive side of the ball to do that and take out Kansas City. And also on the Chiefs side, the best way to go up against Pittsburgh right now is through the running game. And the Chiefs' run offense has not been particularly strong, especially with Clyde Edwards-Helaire dealing with a bit of an injury. You're mixing it up with Darrell Williams as well. It just doesn't feel like the matchup is ideal for Kansas City to pour it on them for the second consecutive time. I think the Steelers mush it up a little bit. I think it's more of a defensive battle than Kansas City fans would likely anticipate. And again, this is a historic spread. The most recent highest spread of all time in the wild card round was last year when the number 2 seeded Saints were an 11.5 point favorite against the number 7 Chicago Bears. They ended up covering that spread by only 0.5 point in a 12-point victory. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers end up covering here in a closer game than more people probably would be surprised to find. There you have it, guys. That is our favorite bets and our early leans for the wild card round. We'll be back again next week, breaking down our favorite bets for the divisional round. So for the rest of the BetSided team, I'm Ben. We thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys check us out, by the way, over at fansided.com/BetSided, and check us out on social media as well, at Twitter, at Instagram, and TikTok by following at BetSided.